robots. So, Sean, I'd like to give this to you now.
Thank you. Well, welcome. So the other class was the class that was at the computers, quiet and studying. Then we were the class that was going crazy, yelling, screaming, making up songs, and probably driving everyone crazy. That was our class. Definitely the opposite. So yes, I think it's interesting. The 4th and 5th grade level, I used to teach the Lego Mindstorms. Maybe a lot of you parents have heard of the Lego Mindstorms or bought them for your kids. That's a great beginner robot kit because it teaches the very basics of code, logic, you have motors and sensors. Then when you hit college, you start into C++ programming, a lot more of the advanced programming. So I think what's neat about this project that we did here, it's a good middle. It's a good middle robotics where we use basic programming, but it used a lot of the same components that you use in real life. Before I go too much further, I'd like to thank my mentors that were invaluable. I noticed the other class had 3 or 4, we had 7. So they already said their names, but could not have done it without them. I don't know. We had what, about 40 kids short of that. So yeah, it was pretty crazy, but really a lot of fun. I think with robotics, it's important to understand the technology from the people in the crowd, because when you see it on the computer screen, you might be saying, it just looks like a bunch of toys kind of pushing themselves out of a ring. But there really is some high-level technology that's behind these robots. First of all, each team was given a kit. These are called raw bots. And raw is the key word. It's the raw components you need in a robot to build a robot. And then what it was their job is to take this raw kit of all the guts of a robot and build their own personal robot with behavior, personality. And I wish you could see, maybe you'll take a look at your child's robot, but you'll never see a group of robots that look like these again. Each robot has their own personality and really interesting use of forks, straws, everything. A roboticist, nothing's safe in your house. I've had people use, we used to have a rule in my lab at ASU, no sandals. So one of our teams built a sandal robot. I was like, oh, you got me on that one, okay. They did have to build, this is one from actual ASU. So they have, let's talk about the technology a little bit. There was, the first day, they took a circuit board with a microprocessor and built the resistors, capacitors, and you guys probably, I remember that's when you have to build the electronics inside a robot. You know, maybe it's not fun, but you know what, that is how robots are. That's the inside of your veins, and because robots are like a human, right guys? Okay, then after we had a day of that, the next class is when we took it, they had to build it using, we used a lot of Tupperware as the bodies. But it worked really well. So in there they had they had 2 motors, they had a switch, they had batteries, and a microprocessor, which is like a little computer. And what's the important thing, and then I'll let the students talk, is the sensors were very important on this project. This is a sumo ring. You'll see one over on the table where we're going to do our tournament here in a little bit. Black and white. So on each robot, they were each given 2 little downward-looking infrared sensors that can see black. When it sees black, it doesn't do anything. But when it sees white, it will back up so it doesn't run off the ring. And then the other important sensor, they had a laser beam that shoots out and looks for the other robot. So the reason I'm telling you this is that when you see in them battle, now you know they're looking for the other robot and trying not to drive off the ring. The object is who built the best robot that can, in a tournament, push every other robot out of the ring. Okay? So should we have the students, let's see. Tell you what, per team, why don't you come up and, like we did with the gaming, and you introduce your robot. Each robot has a name. You probably heard on the video. So let's start with, is this Taternator? Or who's this? Taternator. Taternator team, come up please. He's flying into the valley today. Okay, here you go.
What I like, and my name is Andy, and what I like about building a robot is when I built the forklift that works like sort of like to pick up the other robot. So I can pick up the other robot and like flip it to its side so I can move it.
Hello, my name is Anthony Alvarez, and my favorite part was figuring out where the sensor should be.
Hi, my name is Michael, and I like weaponizing our robot.
Working for the government. Persis. Perseus. I never know if it's a Persis or
Now let's have a battle. So, esto es un laser beam. Cuando mira blanco, sabe que se quiere que pasar. Y cuando mira el negro, sabe que quiere que sigue turning around para que lo busque el otro robo. Y cuando lo mira, se va a prender esto. Se prende eso para que lo levante, pero please do not take him apart.
I know, they're like your children now.
I don't want to. Is it on yet? No, it's not on. It's not on yet.
Look at it, it's still battling. You guys are hardcore. Oh, wait, that's it.
Different tires.